Hello, dear partners. Thank you for joining. I hope you are all doing great. I'm Peter Dominic, leading the global SAP Business One product management team. And I'm glad that my colleagues and I could actually meet many of you during the recent 2024 partner summits. As we successfully released Feature Pack 2405 on May 31st, we are happy that we can welcome you to today's webinar, SAP Business One release version 10, Feature Package 2405 highlights. And in a few moments, we are going to make a kind of a deep dive into the content of this feature pack. We will do a set of product demos, and we will also share an outlook for the upcoming releases. We will also presenting a few interesting updates about other partner and customer activities. Of course, besides me, it's not going to be just me presenting and talking. Besides me, you will also hear from Ari Shapira, Gana Hridnakova, Guy Hasson, Shai Berkenblit, and also Guy Suchecki. Plus also a few other product managers will also respond to your questions and inquiries in a Q&A or in a chat. And we can go into the agenda. So whatever we will actually say here, especially about the future, of course, is subject to change whenever we refer to the future. So this is what we have prepared for you. First, an update on the product, then some product demos, and also community updates. The family of SAP Business One customer continues growing. We are really happy of that and for that. And we are approaching the milestone of 80,000 customers. It's really very near, and this can be reached any day. As you know, and we are proud to say it, SAP Business One is the SAP's best-selling ERP solution by number of customers. And thank you for that, for really doing a great job. SAP Business One has also a solid roadmap. And like other SAP products, we are also regularly updating this important document. The latest edition was released in January. And we are already working on the next update. Will be released within a few weeks, maybe last week of June or actually first week of July. So it's kind of near. You will be definitely notified about this through a partner age, standard channels, and also at the LinkedIn community group. And you may always check on the roadmap update directly through the sap.com, the product page for Business One under the feature section. Or there is also a universal link whenever you can actually check it and also use this link for your customer-facing activities. Business One has several major components. Of course, the core product is enhanced through feature packages and support packages, and there are usually 4 releases per 1 year planned, and these both types are combined. So it may be 3+1 or 2+2. It really depends on the priorities and the needs. SAP Business One Cloud 1.1 is enhanced through patches affecting Cloud Control Center, and we are already working for the next patch. And we are also working on an updates to the mobile apps resulting from the most burning issues, and of course ensuring that the kind of a quality and security remains top for these. SAP's major investment is definitely web client, but before I speak about that, I would also like to differentiate what kind of release types we actually have. So I already mentioned the feature package and support package. Just to repeat, so there is no really confusion, we are having a feature package to deliver any kind of a change, any type of a change, including innovations and new features, including the web client and maybe some integration scenarios. And the very new, the latest one is a 2405, and the next one will be 2502. We are having a support packages to deliver the corrections, legal changes, and security fixes. And the most recent was 2402, and the upcoming will be released late August. That it will be support package 2408. There are also the hotfix and security hotfix, and these are to address the most burning corrections or security fixes. And they are never scheduled and communicated upfront. We only notify when we basically release them. So you will get this information through the standard release information, especially this the SAP note we are using for this. We also separated feature packages from support packages to really focus more on the quality and corrections and legal changes whenever necessary, and so we can release this type of a release faster. And we point out also from the positioning, the feature package where we really also bring a lot of new innovation, especially of the web client. And speaking of the web client, that's really our major product innovation, and which is certainly the web client. You may also see it from the planned innovations in the core, where we are planning to extend major scenarios we already support, and of course deliver other functionality. So the major points from the planned innovations are really addressing web client. And there will be also the continuous innovation based on the market feedback. So that's especially the customer influence. So please stay committed and dedicated to the customer influence. That's our main source of the feedback, visible also to other partners and the other customers. And we will continue doing so. And we are also planning to adopt some AI intelligent enterprise elements into the web clients, especially document information extraction, which is available in the desktop, not available yet in the web client. From the planned innovations, of course, the bread and butter always is to keep the product legally compliant and globalization topics. This comes from what the actual authorities or what the various tax administrations and governments are actually urging and asking businesses to comply with. So we basically follow up on that. This is just a high-level overview of the top requirements. Definitely the list is longer. Also, the list of the topics we are working on is longer. And my colleague Kana, who will be also speaking today, is actually driving this area. We definitely invest a lot into the extensibility, and Guy and Shai will be speaking about what we have delivered, what we did deliver with the 2405, and we also invest into the support of the SQL 2022 and the other innovations and enhancements in the identity and authentication management. Speaking of the web client, it's really the main innovation. So we believe that our roadmap clearly communicates this also with more details. And we already reflect the investment into the 2405 web client with the release of feature pack 2405. And we are already displaying in this slide the items which were delivered with 2405 and also newly added items. So this version of the slide is already be present also in the planned roadmap update to be released probably late June or beginning of July. I was already speaking about the web client, and who else to ask than Ari Shapira about what are our plans and what is available for the web client. So Ari, could you please share more on that with the partners?
Yeah, thanks. I will share from my side. So thanks, Peter. Happy to be here and present to our community, a dedicated community. Yeah, I want to start with explaining where we are with the web client. We have you can look at the glass half full or half empty. I know that there's a tendency to look at the empty part, what we are missing, but we also need to recognize—
Not correct screen.
Not correct screen?
Yeah, we do not see your PPT.
Okay, I'll share it again. Thanks, Ghana. Okay, thanks. So there's a tendency to see the half full glass and the half empty glass. I know we are still not where we want to be, but let's recognize what we have at the moment. So we have around 50% coverage of the web client business processes of the core client. The main focus is front-end services, sales, purchasing, CRM service, payments, key master data, journal entries, and very sophisticated analytics. We'll talk about this in a second. So basically, certain roles, I like to explain it in the following way. When people ask me how to position Business One web client, I say, position it in a way that some roles can use the web client. For example, if you have 30 users in a company, I agree not everybody can use the web client, but certain roles like the salespeople, the purchasing, the service colleagues can use the web client. And the back office colleague, especially finance and inventory, can use the standard desktop client because both of them connect to the same client. So you can do a transition into the area of a web client. What's very important with 2405, and this is going to be really a boosting effect in adapting the web client, is the extensibility. Guy and Shai will talk about it in more detail, but this is really opening a roadblock you had, because I remember many comments coming from the community. You delivered some nice functionality, but we cannot adapt our add-ons, which means we cannot implement and adapt the web client in customer areas. So now you have the opportunity to start doing it. A very important part is the analytics. The analytics is basically a game changer. So first of all, if anybody is asking what is analytics, I urge you, and Karen can put it in the chat, to learn about it from our assets. It's a completely new analytic capability, not comparable to the desktop client, comparable to other solutions in the market. The unique functionality there is it's completely integrated. When you go to the list of invoices, for example, the list view of invoices, you can create charts, you can create cards, you can slice and dice the information, you can link it to master data and create a 360 view of a business partner, bold data, for example, and do much more. You can integrate user-defined queries into the analytical information. You can export and import it. That's really the gateway for using the web client. And if somebody is interested in the web client from your customers or prospects, I would say a good starting point is web client analytics. Start with analytics, the usage will come later. So it's highly recommended to leverage it. You get it with the same fee. You don't need to pay extra, and it's very compelling solution in the web client ecosystem. What are we going to do next? So we reached around 50%. We're investing in an extensibility. We're going to continue and complete the extensibility, including user-defined values. I know it's something you are highly interested in. It's not there yet, but we are working on it. And we will complete the other modules step by step. Extend the sales and purchasing, introduce finance, introduce inventory, project management, production, human resources, admin, and setup. Until we have 80 to 90% of the business processes, we want to reach a situation where majority of the business processes are covered. So let's say if you have a 30-user company, maybe 2-3 admin users who are still using the desktop client, and the majority will use the web client. It's a journey. We will deliver content every feature pack. We deliver functionality, as Peter mentioned. We do it on several times a year. And this is something which is really focusing our new development capacity. So as Peter mentioned, we focus on maintenance and legal compliance and security, and the rest goes to the web client. This is the first priority. With 2405, we can see what we focused on in this feature pack. So the first slide is talking about the core. Of course, high-value improvement requests, customer influence ideas. We treat it very seriously. And we want to continue to get the feedback. Guy, you can hear you. And in addition, we continue to focus on legal compliance. So this is just some examples. Ghana will dive into it in a few minutes. And on the right side, you can see we focus on security and APIs. In web client, we focused on two different areas. On the left side, we focused on business processes. We introduced the system configuration pattern. So basically, we want to start supporting the setup and setting of the object we support already in the web client. We enhance the usability. And in the business process side, we enhance the objects we already provided. Very nice functionality, which was highly requested by you, the community, was supporting incoming seal and batches and bin support. So this is supported with 2405. And on the right side, Guy and Shai will talk about it in a few moments. We are focusing on providing the first elements of UI API support, which will basically allow you to adapt your add-ons to the web client. So this is the barrier of adoption at the moment, and we are opening the gate for you. Of course, it requires some investment on your side, but we got very good feedback from the partners who joined the partner preview, and we are hoping this will really fit your needs. I'm going to hand it over now to Ghana. Ghana, please, the stage is yours.
Sorry, just a moment. Okay. I believe you see my screen. As the legal compliance is the one of the greatest demand is PEPL connection that was introduced almost in all localizations and countries. However, in some countries there were some specifics, and starting with Japan for 2405, we introduced not only the PEPL connection, but also we are supporting the monthly invoice for the sending with PEPL connector. You can find more details about this implementation in the SAP note that you can see in the screen. Also, please read the PEPL help portal in order to have established your connection working. The next introduction of PEPL was done for Singapore, where we supporting invoice credit memos exporting and importing with BTP server connection, and for that is supporting by their SAP DRC service. And you can find more information about this implementation in the SAP note 3466287. For India, we have finished end-to-end scenario for electronic invoicing or e-bills with introduction of the new e-billing connector with clear tax. So now from 2405, user in India can send the invoice automatically when he creates the invoice. He do not need to upload or download the responses to the portal. Also, the responses will come automatically to his Business One. You can see more information about this implementation in the SAP note 3447248. And also I recommend you to read a community blog about the invoice in India, where you can find information how we do mapping and what information from your invoice is going to send to the authorities. In Greece, in 2405, we have finished our introduction of the sent expense on the document level. In 2402, it was introduced, but in 2405, we have introduced automatical processing of that based on the document type, on the document invoice type value. And in addition for that, we are supporting now journal entries related to income without business partner to be also reported through e-box to the RRDI. For Portugal, we have introduced, or we have enhanced the SFT report processing with introduction of the define new options in the fields for the 80 document types. Also, I would like to mention that all these fields are available for updates through DIP. And in Israel, in continuation of the electronic invoice supporting, we have enhanced our connections with your link for the invoice emergency. And also we introduced in the system print layouts the allocation number of the invoices. This is, I would say, were the main issues from the legal delivery from 2405. There was additional ones that was presented on the slide, but they were like very simple one. And now I would like to go to the product demo, and we'll start with business process enhancements that were actually done based on the customer influence requests. And first of them is the production order. Here in this production order, we have the example of the production order that has closed status, and you can see that the planned quantity was 30. And if you look to the components, they also planned quantity with 30. So like 1-to-1. This will help to understand the enhancement. So going to the summary tab, you can see we have planned quantity 25, planned 30, but completed was only 25. And also in this summary, you can see all this information about actual component cost and so on, something that we have also seen. What is more interest is, I think, is the total variance amount, where we can see, if we will go to orange arrow, we can see how this zero was calculated. So we can open the variance report, where we can see all the items, how they contributed with their cost, with the estimated amount, and with the variance to the global, to the total variance amount. If we expand all rows or items, we can see more information, not only about inventory evaluation method, but also about the source documents, target documents, journal entries, and so on. But I will collapse that in order to just check one of the items, so it will be more clear. I will go to the item that is mentioned is with inventory evaluation method 5 FIFO, where we can see the total and estimated cost and the variance, how it was calculated. So if I will expand only this line, I can see here that we have several layers for that FIFO item. We can see also that 30 items were issued for production, and only 25 items were contributed to the last item, to the parent item cost. And that is why actually these 5 items that were not contributed to the parent item with cost of 120 were produced to us the variance of 600. From this screen, we can just only easy jump to the inventory audit report, where we can see the same information, but from the other point of view. We can see that there were 3 deliveries, like 3 layers for that item, and we can see that all these 3 deliveries were issued in one issue for production number 5, with that different costs. So I can continue going back to the variance report. Again, this information is seen for all items that you can see, for all component items that go to the item. The next introduction or business process that were enhanced, it is about the purchase request. For purchase request in the document settings, we have additional feature like open base document in case purchase order is cancelled. And let me show how it is working. So now I have my purchase request. I will add some of the items. I will leave vendor empty, just put the required quantity. And I shall just add and view that. As common feature, we can copy that to the purchase order. We need to add vendor. And need to add the price and the tax code. So once I adding this invoice or this purchase order, my base document is actually closed. So the lines are grayed out and the copy to button is not available. However, if I have to cancel for some reasons this purchase order, what I'm going to do now, I can reopen my purchase request, or actually items in the purchase request. So now when I refresh my purchase request, I can see that the item line is available and I can copy to. The next feature that I would like to show you, it is about this feature was already introduced in 2402. However, as we did not have the webinar for 2402, and I think that this is a very important feature, I would like to demonstrate you now. So, and this is about the authorization requests. Oh, sorry, authorization tree. So here we have our authorizations, and I will choose one of my users, for example, Bob, and update one of his authorizations just to be able to check it out later. For example, chart of account, I will put that it is no authorization now. This is something that is working for a long time, and this is something that is not new. Also, what we can see, we always can check, even before 240205, we can check the changelog and to check how the authorization for this BOP was changed during the time. With putting this, pressing this button show differences, I can scroll, but as you can see, it is, even if I fit column this, still this is not very clear information, especially when we know that what exactly was changed. It is very difficult to change, to look, to find it. Also, what is not here, it is very difficult to change this log user by user. And the request was to have some kind of the report where we can see the status of the authorization tree for some period of time or time frame. So in order to fulfill this requirement, we have introduced a new authorization change log that looks very similar to authorization tree. However, we have here in the header, we have the date. So actually entering this date, I can see the authorization tree on the date that I have entered, to the 1st of January. So if I'll go to our BOP and check his information for the chart of account, I can see that it was full authorization. What is more important, that we can still, like in the authorization tree, we can also print out the authorization change log. So you can have the full report of all your users for this specific date. I will choose only 2 of them. And based on that, we have, as a result, the crystal report layout with the date, how this authorization tree looked like. We can also export this to Excel, the same like in the authorization window, where we can also select some of the users or all the users, and this time I selected all, and save this report to your desktop. With that, okay, this is how it does look like. Again, this feature is also enabled, exporting and printing is also enabled in our authorization tree as well, just to remind. So here I can see all my status to the 1st of January. And with that, I would like to hand over to Ari back.
Thanks, Gana. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So I would like to give you a taste of the new functionality 24.5 and to give you another taste of analytics, although it's already provided, to give you a twist, give you ideas how you can use it. So let's start with what's new in the web client. So as I mentioned, we introduced a new pattern for admin and setup. Now, when we deliver new functionality in the web client, we don't just copy and paste functionality from the desktop to the web client. We try to improve the usability, innovate it to make it more usable. And in the admin and setup, we did something unique. If you remember, in the current setup functionality within the desktop client, you need to be a very experienced consultant to know where all the checkboxes and settings are located. When we port it to the web client, we try to group it into a logical place, so you have everything in one step. For example, in company settings, you have the company settings relevant to the company and the general topics together. In posting period, you have in one place the setting, the relevant checkboxes, and the setup of the objects themselves. For example, these are the settings of the checkbox. And here you can define the periods. And this is something we do throughout the admin and setup. We provide the setup and setting functionality in the same place. You don't need to start looking for a checkbox here and a checkbox there. We organize it in a very mature way. And also we introduce the new patterns which are leveraging the functionality available in the web client of filtering and grouping, etc. You can see the list view and detail view of the posting period in a very simple way. You can make changes, you can press edit and change the values. Of course, I'm going to show you only a snapshot. There are many more functionalities in admin and setup. For example, in the document area, you can see the relevant settings. And here you can see it by document. This is a development version. In the release version, we have many more objects here. So you have all the settings in one place. Makes your life much more easier. And by the way, it's worth mentioning, I didn't show it in the demo, but for example, when you define our customer and vendor groups, you can do it from here, or you can do it directly from the business partner. So you can do it from both ways, of course. So here you can make changes and save them. Another interesting use case for the administration and setup functionality are the opening balances. The opening balances is a different animal. It's basically a setup and transactional screen. You can enter the values. Here you have the header information. And on the line level, you can decide what are the opening balances. And once you press save, we'll create the corresponding journal entries. And by the way, you have the filter bar and search bar in the upper part, which you can use like any list view if you want to filter the information. You even open the exchange rate form if a rate is missing to calculate it in foreign currency. And once you save it, the journal entry is created. Another nice functionality we introduced is supporting document references. This was raised from various partners and customers, including in the customer influence. So we had a chance to develop it in 24/5. You can connect the different references to the documents. You can go to the base document and see what's connected. And you can also use the relationship map to present the reference documents. It's a small announcement, but very crucial if you are using it frequently. Another nice announcement on the business process side is supporting serial and batches and bin location in incoming transactions. I know this was asked for a long time, especially from our European partners and customers. So now, finally, it's included. You can select the relevant item. It's a batch managed item. And you can see already the batch and serial number column is editable. What's nice in this functionality is that you have the drill down, but you can also select it on the fly, like we do with our ongoing transactions, if you know the exact value of the batch. Just select it and it's populated automatically. And in the second line, let's use a scenario of multi-batches. The same way you enter the quantity. In this case, I'll open the choose from list and select and enter the different batches inside. I'm not going to show it in the demo for the sake of saving time, but you can also generate new batches. You can generate new serial numbers. That facility is available in 24/5. And you can see I'm completing the selection of the batches. They're populated inside. Now you can see both of them if you're interested and unselect one of them. Or as mentioned, you can support different scenarios, batches, with bin location, serial numbers, with bin, without bin, and you have a very comprehensive functionality. Now let's take a step back and talk about analytics. So analytics is really a game changer. It's something unique into the web client offering. You can, as you can see now, I'm looking at the sales invoices, but you can see it in any kind of object. You can simply by a click move to analytical charts and analyze the data. I've pre-configured the monthly sales invoice by customer, which allows you to see the information presented by different parameters. And we have also a very important functionality which allows you to customize the date range. It means that the system, each time you present the data, will calculate the values automatically. So in this case, I go back 1 year to the beginning until the end of January this year. As you can see, you see the values. So each time you open the report, it will calculate the data range accordingly. I can just make a change instead of end of January, end of November, instead of end of November plus a month. Now we can see the change. And it is, once you save it, it is executed each time you open the list view. So you could create your own analytical universe, save it as a list view in this example with a chart, and reopen it from the time you created by yourself. You can also create cards. Cards is a kind of dashboard. As you can see, the posting date range can also be manipulated. We have different aspects here. What's really cool in the list view, you can filter all the cards on the upper level. If you change the customer code and press go, it will filter all the cards. And you really can create your tailor-made content. And once you finish it, you can export and import it in different customer bases. So imagine that you have created a very nice content for winery usage, wineries deployment. You can save it in one database and export it to customers which have a similar functionality requirement. You can select a group of values in a very easy way. Now I'm going to talk about something which was presented in detail in the summits, and we also can supply, maybe Karen, you can put it in the chat, we can supply a detailed note with explaining how to use it. So basically, this was brilliantly developed by Avinoam, my colleague from the PM team. We said to ourselves, what can we do with a user-defined query connected to the analytical functionality? Imagine somebody wants to have a trial balance in a web client. We don't have it yet out of the box. By creating a user-defined query and connecting it to the list view, we essentially created now a trial balance. You can see that the values are aggregated by posting year, by accounting level 1 to level 4. We're using the very powerful UDQ functionality tied into the grouping functionality of the list view. And what we can do, we can also see the embedded transaction on the line basis, which we never could have done in the desktop client. So you basically have trial balance with the linked transactions in one place, and you can filter and group accordingly. So I hope it was interesting for you. This was just a taste. I'm going to hand it over now to Guy.
Okay, I will share my screen. Okay, so now let's talk about the UI API for feature pack 2405. Thanks for all the partners that participated in the preview last month. It was a very good preview with more than 200 participants. So let's start with the UI API. So we have the UI API framework. You can customize web client views. You can add your own UI components and supports events, system events, and user events. We have also sample codes and online help inside the web client, so we can download the sample codes and use the online help directly from the web client. For the development environment, we have the Visual Studio Code IDE. You can create your own project using the Visual Studio Code IDE, extend the relevant view, add your code, and then preview and debug your extension inside the web client and inside the Visual Studio Code IDE. When you finish the development, you can package and deploy your extension using the extension manager into the web client. For the list of components, we have this UI API control list. We have simple controls like button and input, and more details controls like tab or section and grid. And we have also the possibility to bind your controls to a data and to use user events and system events. For the Visual Studio Code IDE, we have two options. We have the tile option, which you can create your own tile in your own hyperscaler, for example, AWS, BTP, or Azure. And we have now from 2405 a new wizard called the UI API app wizard. You need to provide the information about the extension and then provide the specific view that you want to customize. In this case, we are customizing the sales quotation list. When you finish the wizard, you will get a predefined sample inside your Visual Studio Code. This is the sample that we providing inside the Visual Studio Code. You get, you have a button, Get Company Info. When you click on this button, you get, you retrieve the company name and the version from the service layer. In addition, you have this file structure. You have the JavaScript file, which you can add your own business logic. And we have addition JSON file to add your own UI components. Here is an additional sample. We are customizing the business partner. You can see here we added a new tab called Sales Assist. And in this new tab, we have a grid with two sections, with two columns, item code and item name. When we click on one of the items here, we open a Google search with the details information of the specific item. In 2405, we introduced a new tool called Web Client Inspector. This tool will help you get the information from each and every components in the UI API framework. For example, we have here this create button. You can see here, we're retrieving the properties of this button and also the GUID of this button. The GUID is very important because you will have to position your components before and after the system controls. For example, if you want to position your control before the create button, you need this GUID. For the online help, we have integrated the online help inside the web client, so you don't need to search or download the help or search it using Google search. You can use the tiles here. For example, you can click on the web client extension samples and get the feature in each and every feature pack. And you can download also the samples from here. In addition, we have the service layer API reference when you can see all the service layers API in a list. And in addition, we have also the YouTube channel that we have all the extensibility, a very short videos about the extensibility. And lately we introduced a new YouTube video that shows the 2405 end-to-end scenario, how to customize system views. So please go inside this online help inside the web client and start using it. And also view our samples in the YouTubes. For the web client extensibility options, we have these options. We have the two types of development capability. The first one is creating customizing the system view and using our UI API framework for this. So you create your own extension using Visual Studio Code ID. You package and deploy your extension using the extension manager, and then you register and deploy to the companies and show and register it to the relevant user. In addition, we have the tile option, which is the side-by-side option. You can create your own application using BTP or Azure or AWS using the service layer, and then create a tile inside the web client. So for the development experience, we have the two options, the side-by-side option and the in-app application option to customize our system views. For the no-code option, the user can create his own user-defined fields, and he can create his own views automatically using user-defined objects. So the user can create the views automatically, and he doesn't need to do it via code or via ID. So this is all from my side. Now I will going to hand over to my colleague Shai to show an end-to-end scenario, a demo about how to customize the system view.
Hi everyone, this is Shai. Just making sure you can see my screen. Okay. So first of all, I see a lot of questions in the Q&A, and this is great because it's good to know that there is a big interest in the extensibility in general, and specifically about the UI API. Hopefully, after this demo, a lot of these questions will be answered in detail. And if not, you can always drop a mail if something is not clear. Everything I'm about to show now will also be released in our YouTube channel with a link to our online help with step-by-step instructions and also the sample code itself, so you can recreate these demos and sample codes on your environment. As a generic approach, what we want to achieve with the UI API is a seamless integration for your extensions into the web client. The end user will not distinguish between Business One and your extension. From him, it will be the same flow, the same look and feel. So let's start. I'm going to show here two scenarios. The first scenario will be about extending the business partner page with a sales assist section. This section will contain a grid, and this grid will contain the latest 5 items purchased by this business partner. This is to demonstrate that we can add here our own section with the same look and feel, get this information from the service layer without additional need to re-log in your code, because we're using the same session of the web client. And inside the column on the right, we have the item description. And when we click on the right column, the functionality will open a Google search on that item. So this can be a common business scenario that will lead to your third-party service or something. So this is the first scenario. The second scenario is a system validation. We're going to validate a field inside the sales quotation. So when we create a new sales quotation, we will validate the customer reference number to be not empty. So if in this case, I'm going to leave the customer reference number empty, the system will identify it is empty, and then pop up a message to the user saying it's empty and you will need to put a value, and only then you can continue with the normal system behavior. What it actually means, it means that you can catch the system events, manipulate them, and manipulate them to your own business logic needs. So you saw the message, now I will fill some value inside the customer reference number, and now it will work as usual. So this was only a short demo of the capabilities, and now I'm going to review how we are actually creating this project in detail, step by step. So we're using the Visual Studio Code as our development environment. We already have our plugin pre-installed that contains the wizard. This is the same wizard we had previously used for the tile extension, and now it will contain both tile extension and UI API application. So we choose the UI API application, click on next. Some basic information that we're filling about our project, the application ID, the version, and the provider. And next, we will fill the module attributes, and this is one of the important steps in the wizard, because here we will choose which page we are going to extend. We can choose either between a system object and the UDO UDT. In our case, we're going to select a system object. There was a question in the Q&A already answered that some of the pages are missing, and this is correct. And this is only the first version that we come up with the UI API, and we plan to continue and extend to all the important objects to include them in this list. So if the object you need is not in this list yet, we are working on it. The next step is relevant for the preview functionality. And what we need to do in this step is to copy the URL of the page that we want to extend and paste it back to the wizard. This enables us a preview functionality from our Visual Studio Code environment. So to preview our extension, we'll just be able to right-click on the page we want to preview with our extension and click on preview. And then we can see our code running without the need to package and deploy to a real environment. And now the wizard is complete and created all the files. I want to review the structure of the project. So we have for each page we're extended, we have a layout file. A layout file contains the additional layout that we are adding to the project. In this case, we can see that we are adding a button. You can see here that the control type of this whole JSON is describing a control. In this case, it's a button. The button is inserted in a before clause, and the before, you can see here an instruction to you, the developers, asking you to put here the ID of the UI element you want to insert this button before. So to know where you want to put this button, we will go to the web client and click on F12 and use our specially designed debug tool, the web client inspector. You can see here we go to the web client, and this will show us the structure of the page in very clear way. We will copy the GUID of the item we want to put our button before, paste it here into the project, and this will tell the project where to put your additional UI. Next, each page that we extend has a JavaScript file, and it will contain all the business logic that we want to do in the UI. By default, it contains all the system events that are relevant to this page. I'll go back here, and we can see here an OData load, on exit, and also the event that we are using for our button we just saw in the layout. And quickly reviewing this code, we can see here we get the company information through the service layer, and we display it in a message box after parsing the JSON data. We'll display the company name and company version. So this is the way to create a project. I'll show now how the preview is activated. So we right-click on the page, and then we have a menu with the preview option, and this will immediately lead us to a browser containing the page code with the new button with a working functionality. You can see, and all of this is done out of the box. The only thing you as a developer need to do was to open the debug tool and paste here this ID of the item. Okay, next, what I want to show is how to add a new module into this project. It means that if you remember, I'm going to show two scenarios, which means that this project is handling two different pages. The first page was the business partner detail, and the second page will be the sales quotation detail. So we right-click on manifest JSON, and we click on add view. This will start again our wizard, but from the middle. So we can we only need to select the page we want to add. In this case, we'll select the sales quotation detail and click on next. Again, we need to copy and paste the sales quotation detail from the web client URL into back into the project. Next, finish, and we will see that two new files were added to the project. The same as in the previous step, we have a new layout file and a new JavaScript file. Let's go into the details of how we created the first scenario. So naturally, I'm not going to code in this demo. It's a pre-recorded video, and this is the JSON structure of the grid we added. I can quickly go through it. So here we see the same overlay and after reserved words, and inside here, these are our items. So there is a description of the items in JSON. There is a section, subsection, a group, and after that we have a grid which contains two columns. We can see the double @ sign in the grid and also in its common, the double @ demo with, this is actually the data binding. We will, I will show how this data source is created. And here we can see the linkage between the UI controls to this data. For example, here in line 28, we see that the size of the grid will be the length of the data. And the first grid will contain the item code. The second grid will contain the item name. Okay, and what we see here, and that on the second column that contains the item name, we also define what happens when it is pressed. So first, the column itself is of type button, unlike the first one that is of type input. And a column that is of type button is clickable and can respond to a press event. The function name that will be called after the press event is onGridPress. Let's go to the JavaScript, and we can see here, this is the JavaScript containing the business logic that fills the grid and also responds to the click on the grid. Inside it, we can see here a service layer call that is getting the data of the latest items purchased by this business partner. And then we filter out the first 5 items. And after structuring the data, we use the set customized data, and we give it a name, demo. This is the name that we used, that I showed previously in the JSON, where we did the data binding using the double @ sign. So on loading, this event is creating the data that we're going to use. Next, it's the onGridPress function. Really simple and straightforward. We get we get the index of the row that was pressed. Then we extract the item code and item name, and we are then opening a browser with the Google search and the item name. Very simple, very straightforward, but also very powerful. You can actually open any website or even your own website with parameters that are being used from the web client. The second, so this was the first scenario and how it was implemented, and some code review on how it was coded. The second scenario, this is just a reminder, we already saw it, is validating that the customer reference number in the sales quotation is not empty. We can see here that if it's empty, we get a message box saying, please provide a customer reference number. And then the user has to click on OK. And fulfill this validation, and then you can continue with the normal business logic. Now we're going to show the behind the scenes, the coding of this part. So in the JSON layout, it's very compact. The only thing we do here is we are defining the event of clicking on the create button. So we had to use, this is the GUID of the create button. And here we define what happens when you press on it, with the emphasis of using the before word, which means we have here before and after. And before the business logic of the system behavior occurred, or after. Naturally, if we want to do a validation, we have to catch this event before the sales quotation was added, because we want to do a validation and then stop the normal system behavior if our validation is not satisfied. So this means that before the system will call its own system logic, it will call this function on add view button click. Now we'll go and see how this function is implemented in the JavaScript. Okay, here we can quickly show how we get the UID of that button with the web client inspector. We can see the structure. We go to the add and view button, copy the unique ID of that button, and then we can use it back in our project. And this is the function that that is doing the validation. It's very simple, very straightforward. You can see here that most of the lines are filled with comments to explain it. And the logic is very simple. We get the value of the reference number. We have a simple if, checking if this value is empty. And if this value is empty, we will display a message box with the please provide the customer reference number, and call this very important line number 25, oEvent.prevent default. This means we are stopping here the default system behavior. So if this value is empty, we will stop the system behavior, which means we will stop the addition of this document. So this was about how these two scenarios were implemented. You will have it in the online help, including the code. Everything I show here is in the online help, and everything will also be in the YouTube channel with explanations, with a link to the online help to the relevant part. So you will have it, you will be able to download it and run it in your own environment. Next, I want to show how you do the package and deployment. It's quite easy. You need to click on the MTA YAML. You will right click on it, and then you will choose build MTA. This will create a package file. This package is actually a zip file, and it will contain the files that are readable by the extension manager. Then we will go to the extension manager, import our package, and after importing it, we will upload it and assign it to the companies we want to assign. We can see that it loaded the package. We need to go to the company assignment. We will choose the SBO demo company and click on assign. choose our package, which is called Sales Assist app. Click on Next, assign it to the company, assign it to the users, click on Finish, and then we can refresh the production environment and see that the production environment is running our extension. So we log into the production environment and we will quickly see that the extension is running. I assume that this demo answered a lot of questions on one side, but also opened a whole bunch of other questions on the other side. You can ask them in the Q&A. I hope I will be able to answer them all. If not, you can also drop a mail. So we can see here that the Sales Assist tab was added to the production environment and that the package was deployed successfully. So this concludes our demo. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to give the stage to Guy Suchetsky, who is going to talk about the Cloud Control Center enhancements.
Shai, maybe before you move forward, you can share the slide on UDV because I thought there were a few questions. So I would like to answer it.
Sure. So,
Guys,
Aaron.
Giving 1 minute. Let me share the screen. Give me a second. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to highlight the fact we didn't forget about UDV. We needed to make a decision to focus on UA API or UDV first. The decision was to focus on UA API first, that it has higher priority. It's really important to give you the tools to adapt the add-ons as Guy and Shai presented. In parallel, we are developing the user-defined values, basically as 2 parts. The first part, which is unique to the web client, for more junior personas, is a logical expression or arithmetical expression, basically a tool which will guide you how to create a trigger for a UDV scenario without the need to create a query. So this will be much more user-friendly and quite powerful. This is the first priority, which we plan to release. Peter will talk about it later in the next feature pack, 2502. And the second part, which will come later, will be connecting to a native query, which has full functionality, like you know from the desktop client today. I just wanted to highlight, we didn't forget, we're working on it. And once we have something to share, we will definitely do it. Guy, please take the stage.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen. Okay, hopefully you can see my screen. So hi again, my name is Guy Suchetsky, and I will be talking to you in the next few minutes about cloud enhancements. We are in a 2405 webinar, so you may ask yourself, why are we talking about cloud or Cloud Control Center? And the explanation is that with 2405, we're actually exposing in the existing cloud version, the latest one, patch level 20, we're bringing the identity and authentication management finally to the cloud. So the cool thing about it is that if those of you that are working in Cloud Control Center who might have already upgraded to cloud patch level 20, once you would import or register the 2405 in Cloud Control Center, then you would be able to automatically work with the identity and authentication management without having to upgrade again. Therefore, we actually included this section in this webinar to show you a little bit to show you how identity and authentication management works in cloud. And those of you who are familiar with it from the on-premise experience, then good news is that it looks and feels pretty much the same, only of course available if you're running under a CCC environment. So what does identity and authentication management brings? We captured this in one slide. We have basically a new user experience. So we have the same user experience when signing in to Business One client, the same as in on-premise. We have two-factor authentication. So you're able to now really utilize two-factor authentication. If you're using an IDP, you can use your IDP's two-factor authentication. Or if you're using the single sign-on with the Active Directory integration, then you can really benefit from two-factor authentication across all supported Business One components. So I won't go into too many details here. This slide is mostly talking about Cloud Control Center, and I want to actually emphasize or focus on the solution of identity and authentication management and how to set it up, how to basically activate it in your Cloud Control Center. So let's go for a short demo. So in this demo, we will see 5 steps how basically this is configured. So step 1, we have to register 2405 as a software repository. Right, so this is very straightforward. Those of you, again, that are familiar with CCC, this is just registering a software repository and registering 2405, which I mentioned is a prerequisite. Then as a next step, we have to actually enable a new global setting to enable the identity, the third-party identity provider. And a third step is actually the configuration of identity provider. So this is a new menu in CCC where we can really add now an identity provider. Again, similar, exactly the same as the on-premise experience. In this example, we're using Azure. So we are doing here a registration of a new application on Azure side in order to fill all the necessary settings, the configurations to be able to add the identity provider. And of course, this is well documented in our identity and authentication management guide. We have a guide for the on-premise, and now we also have a guide for the cloud version. So all the steps that you see here in this video are very well documented in this help guide. So this is just the last step where we create the client secret and put the domain in order to save. And before we activate, we need to also create an operator, which is from this IDP that we just created. So I will add the operator. I can also map the operator to an Active Directory user. And once I do that, I'm able to activate the IDP. The fourth step, almost the last one, is to add the identity provider user under the customer. Okay, so we go to the customer, and same as we did before with the operator, we simply add a user for the IDP that we just added. And once again, we can map the user to an Active Directory user, and then we can enjoy the administration of Cloud Control Center to manage the folder permissions and presentation and access to the presentation server of the mapped AD user. As a last step in this, in step 4, we actually need to map the IDP user to a Business One user. We do this from the tenant, from the user management area, and we map the IDP user to manager user in this case, and assign a license as well. So now we're all ready for the sign-in. So let's see how the sign-in looks like in a Cloud Control Center environment. first from the desktop client. Okay, so this is the new user experience, and I type in my IDP user, and I'm being redirected to Azure. In this demo, I don't have a two-factor authentication setting, so I'm directly signed in. But this depends, of course, on your IDP settings. If you enable the IDP, you will see an IDP screen. Sorry, a two-factor authentication screen. And quick look into the web client. We see the same look and feel. After typing the IDP user, redirection again to Azure, where I can complete the sign in. I see the choose company window, and I'm in the web client with the mapped user. So this is the identity authentication management in Cloud Patch Level 20, together with the combination of version feature pack 2405. And once again, this is well documented in the new identity and authentication management guide in the cloud, and also on premise for since 2208, where we have it on premise. And yeah, so I urge you to take a look and configure it. I think a lot of customers are asking for it, and it also provides the additional security layer that everyone is interested in asking for. So thank you, and handing over to Peter.
Thank you. Okay, we still have a few updates for you. So we actually were talking in this call, in this webinar, about the feature pack 2405 and the Cloud Patch Level 20, but we are also ready here to share an outlook for upcoming 3 releases, or basically releases which you can expect in August, November, and next February. So when we look on the planned innovation and enhancement, actually on the core solution delivery for the support package 2408, support package 2411, and feature package 2502. So of course, we will continue improving the product through customer influence requests, and plus a set of the major legal changes for the listed countries. Especially what I find extremely interesting is a changelog report, which is a generic enhancement, and of course UDF support for checks. All other enhancements in most of the cases are for specific countries, Switzerland, Singapore, Argentina. It's really a mixture of countries. Definitely security is the utmost importance, so there will be a lot of investment into this area, also into the data privacy and protection tools, and also extending the coverage of the service layer and lifecycle management enhancements. And of course, we will have some enhancements in the identity and authentication management. When speaking of web client, this you can expect with the feature pack 2502, because that's going to be the next feature pack after 2405. And these are the summaries of the enhancements in the browsing processes. So first of all, imports from Excel framework, usability support extension, and extending the scope of the business scope coverage, especially introducing objects like chart of accounts, exchange rate table, and posting templates, recurring postings. And also we will improve the extended setting and setup support. On the extensibility, we will continue adding the new controls for UI API. And as Ari mentioned, we will introduce the first version of the user-defined values, UDVs, or previously called formatted search. And there will be an option of UDV as a filtered list and UDV as an arithmetic logical formula. And then there will be, of course, the user-defined table and object setup enhancement. On the analytics, we want to extend the linked list view functionality and also initial pivot table support, as you know it, for example, from Excel. So that's really an outlook. Really take this with a disclaimer that it's a current state of planning and maybe change, but this is what we are working on towards the 2502 as the next feature pack. We still have a few updates. I'll try to make it quickly so we have also time for Q&A. The first one is that we have released a few updates on the product page at sap.com. If you go to Business One section, you have already noticed the visual size, but especially also the content. There are new latest videos with the web client and the other innovation. We are working on more enhancements, by the way, but already today the update is already visible, and many points were adjusted to the latest brand identity, but also the latest content with the web client and other enhancements. You can easily access it through sap.com. And at the end of this page, by the way, you also find a direct link to a product roadmap. And the next update is related to the web client learning journey, which is now available on the learning.sap.com. Previously, we had a special dedicated page for Learn Business One web client. Please forget this page, because now everything is available on the official learning.sap.com, so in one central hub. And especially through this link, you will get to the main homepage of the web client, where you get the key information, what is already available, various recordings, tools, and you can be also redirected to other sites where you find more information. It's first of all public, it's Google searchable, and also you can win even a digital badge. So we really hope that you got this, and this is really a central hub for the web client learning journey. We have kicked off 2024 300 customer survey for SAP Business One. It's similar, but yet a bit rearranged and updated compared to last year. It's a very important source of information and comprehensive information of your feedback for the product as such, and it's very important input from you for the product. It's complementing the customer influence, where we speak about individual product functionality enhancements. Here we go into various aspects of the product. So first of all, I have two requests to you. You can, or basically two messages. You can go, you can launch this survey directly from the news feed if you are on the feature package 2405. We will distribute this through email to partners. I will also publish it at the LinkedIn community group very soon. And of course, in the chat, we will copy the link to the customer survey. My main wish to you and request is that you, of course, would distribute this to your customers, because the partner community is great, but customer is even bigger. And that's why we want to have as many answers, responses as possible. So please be so kind and distribute the link to this survey. It's really anonymous. And also we want to hear directly from customers how they perceive the product, how they work, what they like, what they don't like. And really, this is an important input for our further planning. Your feedback is really appreciated, and really also appreciate your time invested into this and also distributing to your customers. The survey is open for a few weeks only. We assume we will close it by July 2nd, so it doesn't take more than 10 minutes, and it's quite easy to navigate. It's done through the Qualtrics, so very easily you can actually get to it. The link will be also in the shared PowerPoint, as the title says, and also it will be in the chat, and it will be also on the LinkedIn and other places. And as mentioned, from the tiles on the Feature Pack 2405 new tiles newsfeed, this time for the time of the service running, you will get directly to the survey and you can start it. And this basically closes this webinar. So first of all, it's a prompt to you, call for you for an action that you adopt version 10 if you have not done it yet, and really also the web client. And you start with something what is brand new, which is the UI API and the web client extensibility. So thank you very much for your participation. We still have some time for Q&A. I think definitely we should use it. Actually, we are on the top of the hour, but we can stay a few minutes longer. Maybe moderator, I hope this is okay. So maybe Ari, I think very many of you managed to actually answer a lot of questions.
I basically answered quite a few, but maybe let's go over the open ones. Try to answer them online.
There is a question from Jose Guerrero. Will the Business One web client integrate with AI? And what are the differentiating features it offers for the clients? So I would take on the AI, maybe Ari, you can respond the rest. So what we are planning to, we already do support integration to intelligent enterprise elements. So there is a scenario called business card scanning, which actually makes it possible from web client to automate basically the import of data from paper objects. And we also want to introduce this for a purchase document, this scenario. And maybe in general, the main differentiator of a client really is you don't have to install it locally, and it's completely new generation interface with new controls, though the same database, reading and writing. Ari, anything you would add?
I would say also key differentiator is analytics, which is really a very unique capability of the web client, and also the whole usability and interface is different, the low TCO, you don't need remote desktop connection. So it's really a completely brand new way to consume business processes.
Yeah. The next question is from Eduardo Yanes about the electronic invoicing scenarios and localizations. So first of all, in localizations as such, we do not plan to create any new localization. We believe 50 is a pretty good number, covering really the major market, and partners have tools which makes them possible to create a new localization. We are definitely planning to support electronic documents, not only in the desktop client as we do it today, but also in the web client. And we will add more scenarios, more support to other countries. Again, definitely not every localization, but as the governments are announcing the scenario, so in our roadmap, you may notice that there is an announced update on the electronic invoice for Germany, when the details are disclosed. Also later for France, we have recently we shipped solution for Israel and Poland. Again, in Poland, it was actually postponed, but functionality is already available. I mean, it was postponed by government as for the effective date, but we did deliver the solution. And we also provide partners with tools which make it possible to create their own content for electronic documents for countries which are not officially localized. Next question is from Joao Chaleka. Is it possible on SAP Business One to post sales cash instead of invoice plus payments? Maybe you are referring to the point of sale of some kind of like a cash register. We are not planning to add this object into Business One. We definitely have an invoice plus payments and cash register, usually a partner extension or third-party extension. Ari, anything you would add?
No, I think you're right. This is basically done by partner solutions.
Exactly. There is a question from Michael Hubenschmidt. A grid to be defined where user can enter new data as well or modify data in the grid. For example, for entering data in the background to a UDT, which is displayed by the grid. Maybe Shai or Guy.
Mm-hmm. I don't fully understand the question, but I can answer that it is possible to get data input into a grid, and it is also possible to insert that data into a UDT by using the existing service layer context. So I hope this answered this question, because the scenario is not fully clear to me.
Next question from Ernesto Sandoval. The functionality which will make it possible to copy to another database, like an export tool. Ari, anything you would comment?
I think the question is what functionality you want to copy. For example, all the analytical content can be copied using the export and import facility. Or maybe you can give a more specific question. What exactly do you expect to copy?
Maybe Ernesto, as you know, our email address is actually, we will also disclose it here. You may write us an email if this doesn't provide enough clarification for you. The next one, are query-based approval working in an update mode in desktop client?
I think we will need to check it offline. I don't have an answer in the moment. I need to double check it.
Okay, next question from Udika. When will you add costing? Oh, it's moved. Add costing for inventory transfers, and it's necessary to keep different costs in different locations.
As far as I would say, Peter, this is currently not planned for the near future. We will consider it, but it's not planned for the moment.
Yeah, maybe a candidate for next version, but really we focus on web client as the main innovation investment area. There is a question about the formatted search. So this was said by Ari, UDV planned for the first version, simple for UDV in a 2502. Is it, it's better, okay, this is just a comment. Is it or will it be possible to import and deploy models with the web client? Not sure which models Curtis Boudreau means. import and deploy models. Not really clear. There is another question from anonymous attendee that clarify the Cloud 10. I'm not sure what this meant. Cloud 10 version 10 is available for Africa clients. I mean, all changes, I think Guy Suchetsky is already answering. All changes we presented today, we mostly, except the ones by Ghana presented, are generic, so available in every official localization, and of course, in many other countries where the product is sold. Does web client support third-party add-ons? With the UI API, this is a big step ahead to allow partners to start building the add-on versions working with the web client. So of course, without effort, this is not possible. There is an investment necessary on the partner side, using the new tools and also using the tools which have been already available. And all this combination can make it possible to support the add-on. Actually, if you speak about third party, you can trigger an application from the web client, I would say, but definitely integration is possible. If we speak about the partner add-on, so it's actually not a third party. We have a new tools, UI API, new controls, views, which you can use to build a new generation of an add-on. Harry, approval templates for master data, business partner object, or item master data object?
A long-lasting request. We will consider it for the future. I don't have a definite answer by when we will do it, but it's a valid request.
Okay, Curtis Boudreau clarified deploy the HANA models for the web client. I don't think we have answer for this. We would have to check offline with our colleague. But not early, I would say. Definitely we plan to improve analytics already as listed on one of the slides, actually this one, but not the HANA models, not 2502, and probably not even the next year, not really in our plan.
I saw the few examples for third-party tools. Again, this is basically the task of the partners. We give the tools, as presented by Guy and Shai in 2405, we provide the very strong tools to support your API extensibility. Now it's up to the partners to extend their add-ons to work with the web client. So obviously, when there are tools available and there's a demand, I'm sure they will accelerate it, but it's something they need to do. It's not something SAP is responsible on.
Is there a plan in web client tool to replace the DTW?
Okay, so basically what we are going to provide, and this will be the first version, probably in the next feature pack release in 2502, if all goes well. We're going to provide a sophisticated input from Excel. It will basically be more advanced than the current input from Excel, but simpler than the DTW. We're not going to support the DTW in the web client, but we'll support a more sophisticated input from Excel functionality inside the web client. It will be done step by step. First step is, as Peter mentioned, in 2502.
Okay, let's take the last question, and then we will definitely stop because we are already 10 minutes over. When will we release the goods issue request document in the B1, most like web client, as it is very valuable for most of our clients? Question from anonymous attendee.
Again, it's an interesting idea. We don't have a concrete plan yet to provide this new object. The main focus is to, as Peter mentioned, to support the existing business scenarios, the key ones in the web client, but we'll take it under advisement.
This basically concludes our today's presentation from the product management team. Let me thank you for your participation and also for your commitment for the product. We have a request and wish from you to distribute our survey with all your customers and of course take part actively also for your company. Thank you and see you soon at other webinars, either for feature pack, support pack or other occasions. Thank you and have a nice day.
Take care. Bye-bye.